How often do you think about heaven? I think there are some people in our culture who think about heaven all the time. Uh, they may be suffering from illness and they're just longing for the day when that illness will be no more. Or maybe there are loved ones that they've lost and they are just eager to see them again. And so as a result, they think about heaven. Well, in chapters 4 and 5, John gets a revelation, right? A revealing, an unveiling of what heaven is like. He's able to see in heaven the Father seated on his throne. He's able to see Jesus, who is both lion and lamb, being worshipped as he takes the scroll in hand and begins to, move along the unfolding story that we're going to see with the seals of the scrolls and so forth in Revelation. Now, what's striking about this is at the very center of heaven, what is most important about heaven is God himself and the worship of God. I think it's an interesting thing about human beings that we naturally praise things that are good or excellent. If you love your iPhone, no one has to make you work to talk about how great your iPhone is. Or if you really love a sports team, no one has to work if you thought, say, there was true excellence displayed when Iowa State beat Iowa a few weeks ago. If you thought Iowa State played an excellent game and there was something just really good about it, you didn't have to work to make that a topic of conversation. People all across town just naturally talked about how great the Cyclones played on that particular day. When we see things that are worthy of praise, we just naturally, the way God has created us, we praise those things. Well, I think it's interesting that in heaven, we see this worship of God unfolding. Now, this is not the first time that John has seen God in his splendor. I mean, remember, in chapter 1, he sees Jesus, and the sight of Jesus in his glory is so overwhelming that he's terrified, right? It's this amazing, radiant sight. So what's different in chapters 4 and 5? I think the difference is, in chapter 1, it's primarily just John and Jesus, right? And John's reaction to Jesus. But in heaven, we get to see something a little different. We get to see elders and living creatures and whatever else we may think about them. It's clear that they are in heaven and they are now without sin, right? There's nothing in them that is inhibiting their natural response of praise. So think about it. I mean, on the one hand, it's my natural tendency when I see things that are good to praise them. But suppose I'm competing with someone else for a promotion. Now, even if the other person does really great work, I may start looking for reasons to criticize it because in my pride and selfishness, I can't just praise what my colleague did as excellent because I'm really more interested in myself. And my pride and my selfishness cut short my ability to praise. And I think this is the problem we have as human beings. God is every bit as magnificent right here and right now as he is in heaven, right? God is no less worthy of praise. And you'll see this phrase, worthy of praise, used over and over again in chapters 4 and 5 of Revelation. He is every bit as worthy of the praise we see in Revelation 4 and Revelation 5 right now. The problem is that we as sinful human beings don't naturally give it to him because our sin, our pride, all of these things, they get in the way. But in heaven, we're able to see what it looks like when people without sin behold God for who he really is, and they see his eternity, his holiness, the fact that the whole world was created through him and by him. It is sustained by him. We see Jesus as the one who has given his life to redeem his people, right? And all of these things call forth praise as the natural result. So I think this is a great time in your connection groups to talk about what it is that we praise in our culture. Are the things that we often praise really worthy of it? And also to think about our relationship to God. Do we enjoy just delighting in him, taking time to meditate on his different characteristics? Because if we don't, it's highly likely, I think, that some of the problem is our own sin, right? That our pride or selfishness or whatever idols it is that we've constructed, they're inhibiting our natural response of praise. Encourage people to take time to meditate on God's attributes and how great He really is, and to allow that just to overflow in the kind of praise that someday is going to be normal for us in heaven. And if they find themselves struggling to praise God, encourage them to just take some time to be just doing some soul searching and asking God to show if there's sin in their life that is inhibiting their praise and worship of God.